Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
So last week, our chat was consumed by the Rise of Skywalker trailer, and that left us with a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. But that didn't stop the Star Wars powers that be from taking us on another roller coaster ride over this past week. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
Whew, I don't know, man. This is up, down, up, down, up, down. Just all kinds of really good news and some, I don't want to say bad news. We don't really know if it's bad news.
Right.
But it's a setback. It's definitely a setback.
Sure.
And the way I see it, let's just kick into that setback. That way we can just end the show on all highs.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So, Benioff and Weiss, we've been talking over the last, few months?
Oh, yeah.
Close to a year.
Right.
At this point, about the Benioff and Weiss trilogy. They're going to be starting. It's coming in 2022. You know, they're going to start work any day now.
Yeah. Not to mention with their past, you know, their history of the types of shows that they did, everyone's thinking Old Republic. This is going to be awesome. Bring on Revan, you know. So
yeah. Well, it was not to be.
Right.
Apparently they had other plans.
I don't know if they always had these plans. I think these plans were, dangled in front of them. Nice big old carrot.
A nice big $200 million carrot.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to blame them, right?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Hard to blame them. I mean, it's $200 million. And obviously, we know Netflix's motives here.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so it's a. I've seen anything from $200 million to $300 million.
Right.
Crazy big deal. That's what they're saying. What's the word? Historic.
Yes.
Is the words that are being used for this deal. I guess for a internet TV show. Yeah, historic is the way to put it.
Yeah.
So yes, they have signed a 5-year final sum to be determined $200 million plus deal with Netflix.
Right. So it's definitely historic, right? It's not the biggest deal out there because we did all hear about JJ's deal with
Warner Brothers.
But I've got there's a part of me, and I don't want to come off wrong, but there's a part of me that has to believe there's got to be a little bit more than just the money involved here, because this is Star Wars, right? And any like creative in that space is got to be like, I don't know. I know I'm putting I'm imposing what I feel, but you would think they'd be jumping at the chance just to work on Star Wars. I almost feel like there's got to be some other thing involved. For instance, go ahead.
I'll say this too. This definitely brings into question for me the hype they were kind of putting around how Star Wars made them, and you know their love of Star Wars, their passion for Star Wars.
Right.
I mean, I guess money really does talk here, because either that or maybe they weren't the fans we thought they were.
Well, so I could see where you think that. I just feel like maybe Netflix is saying, look, we will let you do whatever you want to do. Right? No questions asked. Maybe under the Disney umbrella,
we want you to do this.
Yeah, there are some limits. You know, you're not.
Well, I'm sure there's limits.
You're not going to be able to do exactly what you want, you know. And when it comes to creatives, that could be the, that last straw, you never know. I don't know. I just get that feeling. I have zero reference to base that off of. Maybe 200 million's enough, but I just get the impression.
What would doing 3 Star Wars movies fetch?
I'm not sure, but it'd be nothing to sneeze at. That's for sure.
I'd be surprised it wouldn't be 200 million.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, does the episodic writing just appeal to them more?
It is what they have been doing lately, right? When you think about it. Now, so we also need to look at this from the other point of view, right? Pun intended. With Game of Thrones, you had 7 seasons of fan adoration up until season 8, where that fell off a cliff. And there's a part of you that's also got to wonder, did we just dodge a bullet for Star Wars here?
It could be. So let's dive into their quotes a little bit here. So their official release about their departure is this. They said, "We love Star Wars. When George Lucas built it, he built us too. Getting to talk about Star Wars with him and the current Star Wars team was the thrill of a lifetime, and we will always be indebted to the saga that changed everything. But there are only so many hours in the day, and we felt we could not do justice to both Star Wars and our Netflix projects, so we are regretfully stepping away."
So that right there makes it sound like Netflix was going to happen no matter what.
Right.
And if they could fit Star Wars in, they'd do that too. Which, if that's the angle they were coming at it from, I'm kind of glad this is happening. I don't want someone to be preoccupied with something else and trying to create something Star Wars.
Yeah, it seems like their initial intent with signing this deal was to be able to juggle both.
Right.
And maybe when it came down to talks with Disney over this, Disney's like, "No, we need you focused. We need you working on this."
Right.
And that led to a rift, and they decided, well, okay, fine, we're going to go do this.
Yeah. I can see something like that happening. Hey.
So Kathleen Kennedy also had a statement.
Okay.
She's basically so it's a very diplomatic statement. She's basically leaving the door open for them to return.
Okay.
So David Benioff and Dan Weiss are incredible storytellers. We hope to include them in the journey forward when they are able to step away from their busy schedule to focus on Star Wars. Now that kind of doubles down on what we just said.
Right.
They wanted them to be able to focus on Star Wars.
When you're working on Star Wars, all of your attention needs to be on Star Wars. That's a certainty in my opinion. I assume that Disney and Lucasfilm would feel the same way.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it to be disappointing.
Yeah,
mainly because I don't know if you're as big a Star Wars fan as you claim, how you can not jump at doing Star Wars. Like I said, you're not going to be getting chump change for doing Star Wars. It's not like $200 million is going to be that much of a pay increase here.
Right.
Then doing now, maybe the timeline for when they were going to get started. I don't know. You would think they were about to start production 2022. I mean, they had to be getting ready to dive into pre-production and then production shortly after.
You would certainly think so. And my question now is, shouldn't somebody be doing that? If it's not them, then who?
And did they not sign a contract? Like,
I don't know.
Did they not sign these guys?
I don't know. I mean,
I mean, were they still working out the details? Is this another instance of Disney dragging their feet? Because we've seen a ton of that lately.
Oh, we sure have.
I mean, Disney Plus. Holy crap! Y'all seeing advertising now?
Yeah.
They're advertising the crap out of this thing now.
Right.
You're 2 weeks away.
2 weeks. Exactly. Yeah.
Where's this been for the last 6 months?
Right. Everybody who's been paying attention has already got their subscription. Yes. But for everyone who's like not staying on top of all this stuff like we do, they're hearing about it for the first time. Yeah. Seems kind of late.
And not only that, we're 2 weeks away, and I haven't even seen like even rumblings of the app.
Right.
Like, where's it going to be available? What devices is it going to be capable on? What's this? Like,
So,
nothing.
I have seen lists of the devices that'll be capable
Okay.
on playing. So obviously it's your Apple products, Android, Xbox, things of that nature. Roku, I believe.
So your Roku's, your Fires, your
Right. So yeah, that stuff I have seen. I just haven't seen the app.
you would think with 2 weeks out you would want to start getting this app downloaded, and if you have to patch it, fine.
Right.
But at least get it downloaded so you're not having everybody scramble to download the app in a few days' time.
I was gonna say, wherever that thing is stored, better be very robust on the 12th. That's
Although, maybe not. They haven't advertised this thing for for anything really. Like, so maybe it doesn't have to be that robust. Maybe not everybody's going to download it at once.
I guess.
They're just finding out about it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's odd. I thought these guys were signed.
Yeah.
Which, of course, even if there's a contract, there's ways out of these things.
Yeah,
I'm no
of course.
lawyer.
Right.
But typically, when these things are signed, you don't hear, "Oh, well, we're stepping away."
Right.
You know, maybe that happens behind closed doors when they're like, "Oh, we're stepping away," and Disney's like, "Oh, the hell you are."
Yeah. Yeah. I just have to wonder.
And maybe that conversation did happen.
Well, I wonder, right? Because at Celebration, we heard Kathleen Kennedy talking about the roadmap of where Star Wars is headed with Benioff and Weiss and Ryan, and she kind of said it like that, and it's like, what kind of conversations were these? Because was it, you need to let go of Netflix? I mean, I don't know, because she sounded awful confident about it back then. And as far as I'm concerned, between then and now, that's a lot of time lost.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so how can you? I mean, I guess they did it with Solo, but I mean, with Solo, the groundwork was there. They did it with Rogue One. The groundwork was there.
Yes.
How do you replace someone? I mean, to me, as far as pre-production goes, this almost seems late in the game.
Yeah.
To get people for a 2022 release.
Which also takes me back to what I was first saying. Is there something beyond the money that's making these guys walk? Is it Kathleen Kennedy sitting them down at in a conference room saying, okay, this is the story we want you guys to tell? And they're like, well, we don't want to tell that story. Sorry, we're going to be busy with Netflix. I mean, you never know.
I mean, you're right. I mean, these are the same people that sat down with George Lucas.
Right.
And said, yeah, we're going a different direction than what you wrote.
Exactly.
George Lucas is freaking Star Wars.
Right.
So if they're willing to do that with George Lucas, they're willing to do that with anybody.
Right. Exactly.
So I agree. This could be just not only a great Netflix deal, but also creative differences. And maybe they didn't want to use the term, we're separating over creative differences again. because they've beat that dead horse so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Lord and Miller, Colin Trevorrow,
right?
You know,
To be a Star Wars director these days is like standing in front of the firing squad and trying to dodge bullets, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I mean, you don't even hear much about the first writer for The Force Awakens, Michael Arndt.
Right.
I mean, he's credited, but not like they were initially touting him.
Exactly.
So they didn't use all of Michael Arndt's stuff.
No.
They took some of what he had and then built upon it with Larry Kasdan and J.J. Abrams taking over.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know. Definitely seems like more trouble in the Star Wars paradise.
Yeah, for sure. But who knows? Maybe a good Netflix show will come out of it.
Maybe. At least for 7 seasons, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then an 8th bombshell.
Right.
All right. Well, where do we want to go next? Let's do this. So we got the launch trailer for Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes, we did.
And speaking of beating a dead horse, I think we do this a lot on this show. This game looks beautiful.
Oh, it's awesome looking.
I mean, it doesn't look like you're playing a video game.
No, the cinematics are like movie quality. I mean, and the video, the gameplay that you see is, God, phenomenal.
Yeah. It doesn't separate itself much from the cinematic portion of the game. And that is pretty incredible. I mean, in this trailer, there's obviously some gameplay portions mixed in with the cinematics, and it's seamless.
Right.
It's hard to tell what's what. You can tell that that's obviously a moment where you're going to be playing the game.
Yes.
But stylistically, it is no different.
Right.
And I think that is a good move on their part. Could they make this look even better for a cinematic outside of gameplay? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the game looks so good anyway. Why do that?
Yeah, exactly. This I don't know, man. This one, I don't know. This is
Doug's coming back to gaming.
Oh God, I could only hope.
At least for a short time.
Right.
At least long enough to play Jedi Fallen Order. It is just absolutely stunning. And in the launch trailer, it says Game of the Year contender. I have no doubt.
Oh, of course.
What I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from, people who have gotten their hands on it and gotten to play portions of it, it's getting just rave reviews from people who have actually gotten their hands on it.
Right.
There is no one that's played this game that goes, yeah, it's all right. Everybody's saying this game is spectacular.
That is awesome.
And if you are a gamer who likes difficult gaming, this is going to be the game for you as well. On the harder settings, this game is going to be hard.
Oh, really?
Yes. They're comparing it to like Dark Souls and stuff like that.
Okay. So for the uninitiated,
so the Dark Souls series, and there's another one. It's like Sekiro or something like that. These are I've never played them, so this is secondhand knowledge. Okay.
Okay.
These are supposedly some of the hardest games on the market. They're not easy to beat. You don't get a million checkpoints to where you can just die and start over and things like that. No, when you die, you have to redo a bunch.
Huh.
It's not an easy game to complete. You're forced to complete the game without corpse crawling.
Huh. So potentially very frustrating then.
Yes. But the one thing they're saying about this game is they're balancing that.
Okay.
Okay, so they're offering a very hard, very challenging gameplay for those who want it. But it's Star Wars, and they know that Star Wars is story-driven, and people want to get this story.
Yes.
So the easier gameplay modes are going to be more player-friendly. You know, you'll be able to get through it easier. Still challenging, because it's a video game. You want it to be challenging.
Right.
But not so hardcore of a challenge that you can't get through it, you know, that you're going to get frustrated and throw your controller away and say, I'm never touching this game again. No, it's still going to feed your Star Wars fan side and allow you to get through it, but you are going to still have to work for it too.
Okay. That's good because, you know, I was, you know, I wouldn't want my, potential return to gaming to be like that short-lived. How's that? That's it.
To hell with this.
Yep.
I'll go watch it on Twitch.
That's right. Now you're talking. Take the easy way out.
But no, they're saying they found a balance between, you know, challenging gameplay and friendly to the average gamer. So
cool.
Everybody should be able to pick this game up and have a great time. And those who really want a challenge, they say you're really going to get a challenge. We'll see, right?
Right.
Those people will be the ones we hear from first.
Exactly.
So if they start coming out of the woodwork saying, this game was easy, well, then I guess they were wrong. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, so this trailer, what about this trailer struck you more than the ones we saw in the past? I mean, in the past, we saw some pretty cool stuff like Saw Gerrera, you know, that kind of stuff. But
okay, so I'd say the first thing that stood out to me was I'm 90% sure, 99% sure even, that we are seeing a Night Sister here.
Yes.
The green embers, the red cloak, it's a Night Sister.
Right.
99.9% sure. It could be some sort of vision or something, whatever.
Right.
But it's a Night Sister.
Yeah.
That was intriguing to me, given the fate of the Night Sisters.
Yes.
It's my understanding that Dooku wiped them out. They're gone.
Yeah, right. Now, back in the Clone Wars, right? Back when Mother Talzin gave Darth Maul his robotic legs, I believe at that point they were pretty much wiped out. And is this not where during the same time period they were brought back as kind of like almost like a zombie force against someone? I don't know. My memory's getting muddied, but I just recall that Mother Talzin.
Yeah, there was something like that. Talzin did something.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I because that character doesn't necessarily look like Mother Talzin.
No, not at all.
But you get the same vibe off of this character, you know?
Yeah. And the appearing from the embers there, this is not just a standard Night Sister, you know, in the flesh.
Right.
There's something otherworldly about this Night Sister.
Yeah. And the giveaway is they're green, right? I mean,
the green embers. Yeah.
That was signature of the Night Sisters on Dathomir. It was always a green mist or a green fire, or, you know, that sort of thing. So,
yeah.
Yeah, if it's not a Night Sister, I think that's a mistake because this definitely gives off that vibe. That's for sure.
Yeah, if this is just a similar type witch on another world,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why so much focused on the Night Sisters in the past and not these other witches?
Yeah, exactly.
So I have no doubt this is Night Sister, and that was intriguing to me. That adds more
for sure
to the depth of this story. And then there is a scene where Cal is getting ready to duel with the second sister,
right?
And I don't know what it is. I went back and I did some research, and I don't know why I'm making this connection, but there is something about her voice,
okay,
that grabbed me, like something familiar. You know, all she says is Cal Kestis.
Okay.
And for some reason this grabbed me, and instantly I thought of Barasafi.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then I get online, I get looking through stuff, and I'm not the only one talking about Barasafi being the second sister, which is not surprising because we did this with the seventh sister in Rebels.
Right.
Okay, we've done this dance before.
Yes.
But
I don't know. I still wrestle with this. I
know her convictions, right? Like,
right. I mean,
the reason she did what she did.
Right.
But
I don't know. The Jedi Order was corrupt with the Republic. I in some ways, I feel like I have a hard time reconciling the fact that she would work for the Empire, you know?
But you know who else felt that way?
Anakin
Skywalker, and he's working with the Empire.
Right.
So I just see that anger that she has with the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
Okay, that anger to do unthinkable things.
And I guess that's the key, right? Is that it is in anger. It
is in anger.
So frustrated by the corruption that
she's willing to go to any length.
Right.
That is something that the Emperor could work with, and now a Darth Vader could work with.
Right.
You know, and even with their, you know, dark side presence.
Uh-huh.
I have a feeling with someone who is that enraged by what the Order is doing to do what she did in the Clone Wars, I think you leave Vader out of the equation for a minute with her recruitment.
Okay.
And someone like the Emperor, I think, would be able to cloud her judgment enough that she would not be able to sense his leanings. And he would be able to manipulate her into a way where she gets to a point of no turning back. And then she ends up in the service of Darth Vader as an Inquisitor. Since she's the second sister, she's one of the higher ranking Inquisitors.
Right.
So,
you know, I gotta say, even if she could sense Sidious's leanings, like towards the dark side, you know, it is not unprecedented for, you know, Jedi to feel like, okay, I can use the dark side for this one thing.
Right.
And come back from it. And that doesn't always work out so well for the Jedi that try this. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's, you know, it's part of human nature to feel like that you could do it, right? You know, I could do this bad thing, but for a good reason, and stop. And
yeah, you know, like the Republic can do it. The Republic couldn't do it. Only my new powers can do this.
Yes.
I can give it up whenever I want.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's a oh man, that's I don't want to call it a trope, but that's a classic storytelling mechanism.
I mean, I wanted to go like way crazy with this. Like, I wanted to sit down and like watch some old Clone Wars, study Barasafi's lightsaber fighting style, and like compare it to what you see in that little glimpse.
Right.
Like, does she swing her saber in a similar way? I didn't have time for that. So,
Yeah. That'd
But-
be good though.
yeah, it would be good. If only I had the time. But it's something that is picking at me. It's something I wouldn't mind seeing because I would like to see this character return. I'd like to mainly for the purpose of getting some closure of what happened to Barisafi after that.
Right.
I mean, it's a character that while we weren't super invested in her in the Clone Wars, we were invested.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of, since the prequel era, right? We were introduced to Barisafi when the original Clone Wars, the shorts came out, right? The Genndy Tartakovsky series. So, and even in there, I thought, wow, this is a cool character, along with Luminara. So, yeah.
And then it's like, you want to know why would a character like Barriss, who we watched grow in the Clone Wars, friend of Ahsoka Tano, why would she betray the Order and let her friend take the fall for it?
Right.
She didn't see Ahsoka as corrupt, but Ahsoka was a necessary loss,
right,
to achieve her goal. Because there were times where she was talking to Ahsoka and she was like telling Ahsoka, like, look, this isn't right.
Right.
And Ahsoka felt the same way, but not in a manner that would make her do something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
There were many characters who felt that the Anakin, felt the same way. The Order was not doing what the Order should be doing.
Right.
So, yeah, we want to know why. What would make her do all this, and what would happen to her after Order 66? Because technically, at that point, she's not a Jedi anymore, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
And not only that, but she's getting delivered right into the care of the Republic, via imprisonment.
Right.
And therefore right into the grasp of Palpatine.
Yeah. Who could twist her will to whichever way he wants it.
Yep. Like, hey, you were onto something here. The Jedi are the enemy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really hoping that if Barriss isn't this Inquisitor, it's still a character I would like to see show up somewhere in here.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's a good avenue to bring that in. You got the Inquisitors again. Yeah. You got Jedi on the run post Order 66. Wouldn't mind seeing some Barriss closure here.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because if this isn't Barriss and we don't get Barriss closure, the next time we see an Inquisitor, a female Inquisitor, we're just going to think it's Barriss. This is a vicious cycle that's just going to keep happening here.
It's true, and I gotta say, the more I'm thinking about this, she would make for an excellent antagonist in this game, right? Final boss situation kind of thing.
Yep.
I really like that. So.
Because the other Inquisitors, they weren't all that skilled in the end.
Right.
Someone like Barisafi is going to be a skilled opponent.
Exactly.
Not a pushover. And I think that's what we want to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsandMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsandMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so the other thing we got in our flurry of Star Wars trailers over the last, 2 weeks, not even, is another trailer for The Mandalorian.
Absolutely.
it, dude, I gotta say, I hate saying this.
Uh-oh.
I am way more excited for this show than I am for the Rise of Skywalker.
You know what? I've been hearing this a lot from, a lot of different places, a lot of different people. And it feels a little weird saying it, but I have to agree with you. This thing just looks awesome. I mean, they're I don't know. Maybe they're not showing us the good stuff in the Rise of Skywalker. Okay, I'll give them that much. But this trailer, it's not really letting on a whole bunch of information either. But my God, it looks phenomenal.
It looks fabulous.
Yeah. Everything about it, right? I just, God, you're seeing familiar alien species, for one, right? That solidly plants it. Boom. This is Star Wars, right? You see a Quarren. I mean, Trandoshans, right? It's like, I don't know. Because if there's one thing you could say about the sequel trilogy, you don't see a whole lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, so like you take characters like IG-88, right? Who in Empire Strikes Back, all we see is him standing there as Vader walks by.
Right.
And now we're getting IG-11, an IG droid, right?
Yep.
Assassin droid in action in a trailer.
Yes.
I mean, what more can get you pumped up? I guess everything in this trailer could be more that would get you pumped up, because there's just so much in here that it's just what we want to see when we're looking at a Star Wars trailer.
Right.
I mean, I understand the Rise of Skywalker it's secretive, right? It's the end of the Skywalker saga. They don't want to let anything out. And I understand that. But the side effect to that is you're also showing me a trailer that is showing stuff. Probably not the best stuff, but showing stuff.
Right.
You're not just showing me characters riding into the conflict. You're showing me portions of the conflict.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
With those characters, like we see portions of conflict in the Rise of Skywalker trailer, but it's like a Y-wing, doing awesome Y-wing stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's not like seeing the main character doing cool shit.
Right.
mean,
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know how else to put it. You see the Mandalorian in several action sequences here that just make him look awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And that, the Mandalorian himself, right? This is Mandalorian armor, okay? We know nothing about the guy. We don't have to at this point, right? All that's yet to come. But that is familiar in Star Wars universe visuals, okay? And we're seeing enough too. That's all. How do you put it? That's the old, right? That's what we're familiar with. That kind of stuff. The stormtrooper helmets. The
stormtrooper helmets on pikes, I might add.
Sure, and stormtroopers, right? and the aliens and stuff. See a Twi'lek. I just. And we're seeing new stuff. We finally get a glimpse of Bill Burr's character in this trailer.
Yep.
And there's this over-the-shoulder blaster thing going on. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Yep.
It's like, this is something we haven't seen yet in Star Wars. So you're getting a mix of, the familiar.
He's got two blasters and the Predator blaster.
Oh, right. So that's the thing about it that is,
one of the scenes that get me really excited here is you see our main character, right?
Yep.
He's got his hand on his blaster, holstered blaster at his side, finger twitching on it, with a blurry character on the other side.
Okay.
Like Old West duel is
Oh,
about to go down.
right. I mean, so the scene you just described is pretty much lifted from Solo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
but I have a feeling here, and I know this isn't exactly the best way to put it, but I know that here, someone's probably going to shoot someone.
Right.
In Solo, that didn't happen in that scene.
Right. You are correct.
But here, it's going to happen.
Yeah. But that's what we're looking for in our fantasy television, escape from reality type stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, there's not much more to say other than, this show is, I don't know. It's awesome. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I know this thing is going to be awesome. There's also other factors that play into that, but like the people behind it, right? That's got a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, have we seen a rating on this yet? Like,
not that I'm aware of. I could see it being something like a TV 14 or something like that.
Think it'll be that low?
Oh yeah,
because this trailer where in this trailer you see him, get that guy with that retracting cable, dragging him across, and then that guy he's dragging pulls out a blaster and then he shoots.
Right.
Well, in the previous trailer, when he did that, you watch the doors that were there start to close.
Yes.
It almost looks like they're going to close on this guy and cut him in half.
It does look that way. And it might happen, but if it happens, I don't think they're going to necessarily show that to you. They don't have to. That's the sort of thing that Star Wars is good at. Like, something just went down. You don't have to see it with your own eyes necessarily. Know what I mean?
Right.
It's like the lack of blood in all of the original trilogy.
Yeah, but that's not the thing anymore.
Oh, I know.
What really stands out for you overall?
Visually, the way this thing looks for a television show, I can't get past how good this looks visually. I understand that they've put a ton of money into this, and it appears to me as though they're putting it to good use. So,
that's for sure. I mean, you mentioned a Trandoshan.
Yeah.
That scene intrigued me because we're going to see different styles of combat out of our main character here.
Oh, right.
Because he's coming down with this like axe staff kind of thing, and then the Mandalorian has this like shock staff. So you're seeing like staff combat. You see him in blaster fights. You see him in hand to hand.
Right. I don't know. I think we are in for a huge treat. This is I don't know. It's all again. You got Jon Favreau behind it, Dave Filoni. There's really not much more to say than that. I mean, and from what everyone, there was a press junket recently where some press got to see like 27 minutes of footage, and I've heard nothing but raving reviews from that. So
right. Well, I know the footage I saw at Celebration was awesome.
Right.
What do you think of this? There's a scene where he's standing face to face with this woman, and she's reaching for his helmet.
Oh, right. For me, I got a feeling that's a tease.
I hope so. She better not pull the helmet off.
Right. This is the sort of thing that I think is going to be teased in the show from time to time, like where they're going to have us thinking, oh, helmet's coming off, it's coming off. No, it didn't come off. That's that's the sort of thing I think.
Except for me, it's not going to be, oh, helmet's going to come off. It's going to be no.
Right.
Because I want to see him stay this Western character, man with no, name, like mysterious.
Yes.
You don't really know. They call him the Mandalorian because they don't know his name.
Right.
You even hear in the trailer they refer to him as Mandalorian.
Sure.
They don't know his name.
Hey, this is how I feel about Kylo Ren. So, this. Oh, you're just Ben Solo? Okay. Sorry. Anyway, I understand how you feel.
Yeah, we're gonna get to see him use that rifle too.
Yes.
That Christmas special rifle.
Exactly. Pulse rifle, I think they call it. So,
the tuning fork gun.
Yeah, there's all kinds of callbacks to stuff. And I can't wait to pick that stuff out for myself. Because that's going to be the kind of stuff where you know what they were doing, and it's like, yes, I got you. I got a feeling this is going to be the platform for them to do that kind of thing, and people are going to love it.
Well, the good news is we don't have to wait that long because November 12th is just around the corner.
Right.
So I cannot wait. I've already got my 3 years of Disney Plus purchased. I'm in for the long haul.
Oh, yeah. As do I.
So I'm ready. I am ready. But what I like too is they're not ready to call it quits either.
No, not at all.
Because we got some great news that Carl Weathers is going to direct an episode from The Mandalorian Season 2.
Yes.
And along with that, we also found out that filming for Season 2 has already begun.
Yes, it has. So I'm going to play a couple things here. Both these things play right into what you just said. The talk is a little more expansive, but just a couple quick clips to they had a roundtable for the launch and of Disney Plus and The Mandalorian, and we had Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and Pedro Pascal, Carl Weathers, and I'm blanking. What's her name?
I know her character name off the top of my head, which is Cara Dune. It's
Cara Dune. Yeah. Okay.
What's her name?
We are horrible. But anyway, start off with a little bit of what Carl Weathers had to say here.
And then started telling me basically what this was, and a little about this character. And it's like, are you kidding me? I'm working on something that Disney is going to be behind. I'm working on something that Jon Favreau is like marshaling through. And I'm working on a Star Wars kind of invention. And then I get a chance to meet Dave Filoni, and now it's like, oh shit, we're in good hands. We're in really good hands. So that was my introduction, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
We really did rope him in. He's not kidding. It started off with, hey, maybe you'll do, there were 2 episodes, and then it turned into, now we really like your character. I know this, we're talking about this, but I'm writing the last, so I don't want to say too much, but we worked him in a lot into the show, more than he agreed to. And now in season 2, he's a part of our directors brigade.
Directors brigade.
Yeah, and before we go into that too much, Gina Carano.
Yes, Gina Carano. Yes, thank you very much.
Let that go.
Yeah, you're right not to. So yeah, speaking on the directors, they, this is where I think I was clued in a little bit as the fact that they were actually shooting, and as well as talking to directors and stuff. So this is Jon Favreau.
They haven't announced it yet. Okay. Well,
Let's say yeah. We
We
can talk
announced
about it.
one.
we got one. Maybe there's another one. Maybe there's another one. There's a new person too that hasn't been announced yet who was working last night. So that's all I can say.
So this is Jon Favreau talking. The question was, can you tell us who the directors are going to be for season 2? Jon Favreau is just saying, oh, well, we kind of let the cat out of the bag with Carl over there. And then he's like, maybe there's another one, pointing at Dave Filoni and himself. And then he says, well, someone else was working late last night. So it's like, they're filming, right? So
Yeah.
that was my first inkling there, but kind of cool. So
Didn't you mention that he also mentioned that Pedro was working late?
He did. And he actually flat out says it here in this. So
It certainly will inform what we're doing the second season, which we're actually in first week of the second season's under our belt. And our cast, when you see them, especially Pedro, might be a little tired because he was there quite late last night.
So to be honest, the first thing that I caught was, Pedro was there working late last night. Some new director was there working late last night. But he actually says it. Yeah, we got the first week of shooting under our belt already in season 2. So, they are moving forward hot and heavy with this show. It's kind of cool.
Which I doubt they would do if it sucks.
Exactly.
So,
and here's the last clip I'd like to play in regards to the Mandalorian. I would have to say this is a lot of the reason why it doesn't suck. How's that?
oh,
Well, I learned a tremendous amount every day, and I think for me, one of the things is, I was on set every day the whole season, so I learned watching every single one of our directors. I learned watching our great cast, everyone behind the scenes. I treated it as, boot camp for me to learn this type of filmmaking, but then I tried to offer the knowledge that I've been passed on to me by George for Star Wars things and just the way that he liked to shoot things. But it definitely has affected the way I look at, a day. What can I accomplish in a day? That's a big difference for me, filmmaking wise. We arrived on a back lot and the DP, Greg's like, well, the sun's up, we gotta get going. I'm like, oh, right, because it's going to go down. Animation didn't really have that problem. So, you're getting on 6 o'clock and everyone's getting squirrely and you're like, the sun's going down, the sun's going down. I'm like, right, then we're screwed.
Sounds like Dave learned a lot of working on live action in the first season here.
yeah. Like you got time restrictions.
Exactly. We can animate till 4 o'clock in the morning, but yeah, shooting in a daylight scene, you got to have the sun. It's
Yeah.
But a couple things I found pretty interesting is that he said he was there every day on set for the whole season. Interesting. So you have Filoni as your walking encyclopedia of Star Wars,
Yeah.
basically
There every day.
exactly. He, I really get the impression that, what you have here is Jon Favreau is like the showrunner. Okay. But Dave Filoni is kind of like the George Lucas saying, well, a stormtrooper wouldn't act like that, or he wouldn't do this. He's making sure all of that kind of stuff is right.
Well, not only that, and not only he sells himself short here, okay? A little bit. He says, I learned from George Lucas, all that is Star Wars. But when it comes to Mandalorians, Dave Filoni is the resident expert.
Oh, yeah.
No one has done more. And this includes George Lucas.
Correct.
No one has done more with Mandalorians than Dave Filoni.
Exactly.
He is the world expert on Mandalorians.
This
Period.
This is true.
And I know that can be disputed by people, by, old expanded universe, whatever. In canon, Dave Filoni is the resident expert on Mandalorians.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to do something with Mandalorians, this is your guy.
Right. And
whether writing it, directing it, or just playing consulting on it, this is the guy.
Yeah. I think what this has been, though, in regards to Dave Filoni, is a true give and take here. Because he talks about everything that he's learned from these actors and the directors. This is his debut in live action directing, too, right?
Yep.
But he's learning a lot from working live action. I think that's for a reason, okay? For moving forward, looking forward. And I also think that he's also there. He's bringing the George Lucas into Star Wars on that set, basically, if that makes sense. Because without George being there is none other than Dave Filoni to fill those shoes. So
right, but I think we've moved past that point with Dave Filoni anymore.
Okay, explain.
I don't think Dave Filoni's bringing the George Lucas anymore. Dave Filoni's bringing the Dave Filoni. Okay.
Yeah, but
it is a different. It is a little different than George Lucas storytelling.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's got its own language, and Dave needs to be credited for that.
Yes,
it does have its own language, and Dave Filoni's bringing Dave Filoni. Now, is it bringing Lucas influence? Sure, but I think we've moved past the Dave Filoni bringing in the George Lucas influence to Star Wars now.
I don't think we'll ever move past that. But
I disagree.
Okay, then we can agree. We can disagree because if he didn't work with George Lucas for 10 years, then I would agree with you 100%. It's past that. I mean, that would be like, I don't know.
But that's like
saying
any
it's like
profession.
J.J. Abrams or Ryan Johnson making something. They've never worked with George Lucas.
But this is like any profession. Okay, you learn as an apprentice to a master. Okay. Yeah. Eventually, you become a master yourself.
Absolutely.
And you're no longer bringing... I mean, yeah, okay, there's influence from the person who taught you. There always will be.
But I would argue that Dave Filoni has always done that. When it comes to the Clone Wars, Rebels, he's always done that. He's always brought Dave Filoni to the table. The bonus is that you're getting George's influence on Dave Filoni along with it.
I would agree, but like I said, I don't like... I've gotten to the point where I don't like just saying that, okay, now Dave is bringing George Lucas's influence. Yes, he is, because he learned in that style. But at this point, Dave Filoni's bringing Dave Filoni. It's just mine.
You're making me wish I would have clipped another spot because I'm just gonna talk about it now. Jon Favreau was asked the question about what it was like when George Lucas stopped by the set, right? So
yeah,
talked about, gave him the bottle of Skywalker wine, all that, cool. What he thought was the coolest thing was he could see the pride in George Lucas watching Dave Filoni become what he has, because this is like the master watching your protege become a master in his own right. And
yes,
he talked about how proud George Lucas was to see that in Dave Filoni on the set of The Mandalorian.
Agreed, but So as someone who teaches in my day job, okay, as someone who does this mentoring, passing knowledge on, right?
Yep.
The pride for you is when your apprentice at one time, the person who learned from you,
yep,
does something that you wouldn't have thought of necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yep. I totally get it.
So when they have taken the knowledge that you've given them and gone beyond,
yeah,
that is the pride moment. So if George Lucas feeling that pride, he's feeling that pride because Dave Filoni has now moved into his own.
Absolutely. But
so that's why that's why I say I'm not saying that he's not bringing the George influence. I don't disagree with that sentiment. I just we always hear everybody say, "Oh, this is the George Lucas into Star Wars now because Dave's involved." Yes, and
true.
No. It's Dave though.
Yeah, it's also true. I mean, I
think we're making the same argument here.
I don't know. I think
we're just tipping the scales different ways. I think
what you're going to get with Dave Filoni at this point, in my opinion, is probably the closest thing that you would get if George Lucas were working on Star Wars.
Agreed.
Now, you have somebody like J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson. These are further departure from what you would have gotten with George Lucas.
I guess my main point is that with Dave Filoni, you're not necessarily getting what George Lucas would have done. You're getting what Dave Filoni is going to do.
Yeah.
Is it the closest to what George would have done?
Yeah.
Sure. I agree with that.
That's it. That's the point. I mean,
like I said, I just don't like, okay, well, it's safe because Dave's doing what George would do. I don't think that's true. I think if Dave and George were working together still, Dave has reached a point in his career where Dave and George would butt heads a little bit.
So, did not say Dave would be doing what George would do.
That's the way I took it.
Okay. The closest thing that you have to a George Lucas is a Dave Filoni as of today, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be Dave Filoni. He's going to be Dave Filoni. He can't be George Lucas, right? But he is the one guy who worked for him for 10 years. So,
agreed.
That's where we're at. Other than that, you have, as far as I'm aware, nobody else in that kind of position who has had that kind of, up close personal contact and tutelage from the man. So,
okay, so I think we just spent the last 10 minutes arguing about something that we both feel the same way about.
Okay.
but just with a slightly different angle. So
hey, this is good though. I don't know.
It's like we're both saying the same damn thing.
Okay.
But we're saying it from like just a different like we're both standing on the same line.
Uh-huh.
But we got our feet on the other side of that line.
I got you.
So like our middle ground is the same line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we just we just spent 10 minutes arguing about the same thing.
It's what we do.
Yeah, it is what we do, isn't it?
Yeah.
From a certain point of view, right?
Right.
So yeah, either way, the show's looking fantastic. It's got me super excited.
Yes.
Another 2 weeks is going to be. It's going to be the longest 2 weeks in a while, I think. Unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're so excited for this, and I really hope. Like, the other thing I'm hoping for is like, man, I really hope everything works because they haven't like put anything out there yet.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be fine. Here's what I'm curious.
I don't know.
about.
So I'm watching Resistance on the Disney Now app.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I gotta say, if I have to rate that app right now,
Yep.
that app is a pile of crap.
I got a feeling they've been focusing elsewhere. I would hope,
But that app's been a pile of crap since I got it. Like,
okay,
it just like you'll launch it,
right?
and it says Disney Now with this thing spinning. And 20 minutes later, when you walk back to your screen, it still says Disney Now with this thing spinning.
Oh, nice.
You close the app, you open it up, it does it again. Close the app, open it up, bam, it just launches. It's like, look at that. I find if I, on my Fire Stick, if I go in and I force shut down the app and launch it again, it works fine. But I don't have this problem with any other app.
Right.
It's only this app. So I really hope Disney Plus is a better app than this.
Yeah, I would hope so. I would think with as big as this launch is going to be for them, it's going to have to work well. So
I think their biggest problem is they put so much flashy crap into it.
Oh, yeah.
Like Netflix launches and then the Netflix just folds into the end and then you get the dong.
Right.
And it's open.
Yep.
Disney Plus has got to run this whole like opening trailer. Right? Or Disney Now, not Disney Plus.
Right.
It's got to run this whole opening thing where all the characters like hop out of the middle of it and all this crap.
Gotcha.
It's like that's what's slowing your app down.
That sort of thing right there makes me think of people in suits sitting at a boardroom table saying, "Hey, can we make it do this?" And your development guys are going, "We can,
but it's gonna run like crap."
But that would be so cool. Let's make it do that. That's you know what I'm saying? That's what I imagine. That's focus on the flash.
It's like the same guys that are making the making Windows.
Hey, be nice.
It's got to do all this fancy crap before it opens. No, it really don't.
Right.
It just needs to open.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping Disney Plus will be good.
Yeah, I hope so. Content-wise, I don't think they're going to have a problem. I'm just a little worried about the app.
Right.
All right. So our last bit of housekeeping here is, since we only focused on the trailer last week, we didn't cover Resistance.
Right.
Resistance is Resistance.
Yep.
It's kind of slowed down from the start of the season. It really has.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, knowing that this is the second and final season of the show, I kind of expected every episode to be kind of taking larger steps towards the end game of the show here. These past couple episodes have there have been good moments, within the episodes, but I'll
say this. So from a story perspective, right?
Yeah.
If this is what you're going to do with this show, what we've seen the last 2 weeks,
right?
There's no reason to end this show.
Exactly.
There's no reason to put a sunset on it and end it. Like if this show is supposed to be contributing to the greater story and you have to put a cap on it because of what's coming in the future, then it needs to do that.
Right.
Right now, what it's doing is it's being a week-to-week episodic kids show, which is what we thought it was to begin with, to be fair.
And that's fine.
It's fine. But if that's what you're going to do, there's no reason to end it.
Right.
You can keep this going.
Yeah.
I would see no problem in that, personally.
Right.
I enjoy watching it.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, it wouldn't have to be like critical to the story for me to enjoy watching this show. It's an enjoyable show.
Yeah, exactly. In the past couple episodes here, we did get you had your moral dilemmas, right? And certain characters, how do we put it? Kind of seeing the light a little bit of actions they've taken. And, that kind of thing is great, especially on this kind of show. But if it's going to play into the larger story somehow, some way, yeah, it needs to get there somehow. Yeah,
Yeah, we got to start getting to the point so the last few episodes don't feel rushed.
Right, exactly.
They don't feel like, oh crap, we got to hurry up and get this done now.
Now, I gotta say, season 1 did that just a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't, this is the last handful of episodes where you're like, ooh, now we're getting somewhere. And we've kind of fallen off of that track a little now.
Yeah, but I mean, still, like these episodes, these last 2 episodes, they, how do I put this nicely? I mean, they're still better than the first half of season 1.
There's no doubt.
I mean, they're really entertaining episodes.
Right. Now,
but our problem here is that you've set this bar that this is the end. This is the final season.
Uh-huh.
And you've kind of set it up to where this show is going to have some impact because you've already, you've done the whole Hosnian Prime thing. You've done the whole, what was that planet? Dakar?
Uh-huh.
Done the whole Dakar thing.
Right.
So it's folding into the greater story.
Right.
And then you stop that. I understand they got to do things along the way, but you have not hinted at them still being on some sort of course.
Right.
They just seem to be floating aimlessly in space.
Yeah.
In fact, these last 2 episodes, they stay in the same system.
Yeah. I would say that by this point in Resistance, we've got to be probably beyond the events of The Last Jedi. Like all of the events of The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely past the Dakar events. Yep. And yeah, I can't imagine that drug out for much longer than a week.
Right. So,
how long can you chase that ship?
Yeah.
Shooting at it.
So, I guess what I'm getting at is, this is the point where this show could go on for a few more seasons, teaching these little moral lessons, right? Which, to put it in perspective for everyone, I guess the episodes we're talking about are, was it Live Fire, and
Hunt on Selzor 3.
Right. So with Live Fire, you had T.W.A.M on a training mission, okay, with the TIE Fighter Squadron, and she makes the choice to save the life of a fellow cadet pilot instead of making the kill shot on a training drone or something.
Yeah, and most of us, we wouldn't have been that upset to see Ruckland wreck into that Star Destroyer.
Exactly. But she got admonished for it. And we all know that's what the First Order is going to be like, right? That's the part about that whole thing that kind of got to me a little bit, is that we all know that the First Order is like that already.
Yeah.
So, and I know we're seeing Tam figure all this out for herself and where she's probably making the choices and stuff. But, and I get a feeling that's going to come back around and play into it later. But, and the Hunt on Selzor 3, we have the pirate captain, I forget his name, thinking he's got it all figured out, and he's going to try and steer things towards a mutiny on Colossus, and they're going to hunt this ice stingray flying beast, right?
The Jacuz.
Yeah, there we go. And he doesn't listen to Kaz on how to approach it and attack it, and ends up failing. And Kaz and Tora end up taking the thing out so they can feed everyone on the Colossus. But it's kind of, they're good episodes, right?
Yeah,
Entertaining, especially for kids. Okay, I can see that. I'm just not seeing it push the story for. There's gonna eventually have to be something in this season that moves us towards Rise of Skywalker. I'm not saying all the way there, but moves us towards it. Something's got to happen. I would think maybe these guys can find Wedge Antilles and say, "Hey, did you know this is going on?" And off he goes, jumps in his X-Wing to go find the Leia in the Resistance. How's that?
Unfortunately, I think that story's been told already.
Oh man, see, bummer.
Yeah, there was a story that just come out. It's Rise of Resistance or something like that, and it kind of dives into the whole Wedge Antilles involvement.
Okay. Well, I just think there needs to be something of a little more substance to go into this show, personally.
I would agree, and only because of this deadline.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to make this a show that's just going to continue and be a kid's show and just be episodes like this, do it.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah, there doesn't have to be consequences, right, in each episode.
I mean, we'll still be talking about it.
Sure. But moving towards what is an ending, there needs to be stuff of consequence happening, and I'm not downplaying the fact that, you have everyone on the Colossus starving, right? So you need food, yes, but it almost seems kind of like a trivial detail.
Yeah, is that a story that needs to be told?
Exactly.
Or can you just have that be a background story as you're moving towards the end game?
Right. Agreed.
So, I mean, in my opinion, still, I mean, if you want this to be an entry point for kids coming into Star Wars, the thing is, the Star Wars story moves forward.
Yeah.
It doesn't linger for too long.
Exactly.
Never has. It always moves. I mean, this is an interesting way of saying it, I guess. It always moves kind of faster than you think it would.
Right.
I think one of the reasons that The Last Jedi has some of the struggles that it does is that moves slower than we thought it did.
Yeah.
And expected it to. And especially from the transition from The Force Awakens.
Exactly.
So we got this like very small chunk of the story in comparison to the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy for the sequel trilogy so far. We've got this small portion of the story because it's all happened in this relatively short time.
Right.
And now we're making a jump for the Rise of Skywalker. So it's kind of messed up the whole flow.
Yeah.
We're used to big jumps. We're used to using our imagination to fill in the gaps.
Yes. Absolutely.
Star Wars has never been a overly complete story.
No. I mean,
you get the bullet points, you get the bullet points and you fill it in from there.
We ran into that bounty hunter on Ord Mantell, right?
Yeah.
What was that all about? Well, you don't need to know right now. It was always something that you could pick up in a book or a comic if you were so interested. Yes. But that's the kind of story that's being told week to week right now on Resistance.
Yes.
That's the part that's kind of getting at me a little bit. It's like, yeah, we need the pace to pick up a little bit, I think, and have a little bit more dire consequence, And
for the kids coming in with this type of storytelling, when they get into the the films and that style of storytelling, they're going to be like, wait, what happened with all this?
Right.
And they're going to be angry that they didn't get it.
Right.
As opposed to taking the time, using their imagination, using their friends as conduits to discuss this stuff.
Exactly.
And filling the gaps on their own with their own ideas on what might have happened.
Their own speculations, their own whatever. Yeah. I mean,
like I said, I think it was last week or the week before, Star Wars is this and this and this happened, discuss.
Right.
This and this happened, discuss.
Exactly.
This is what we do. That was 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the guy who says the Force just makes everything happen. No one else does.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes.
It doesn't matter what they want to train for or anything. It's just the Force. The Force decides.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Well, I have a feeling that eventually we're going to see some of this progression that we're talking about. Hopefully, comes a little sooner rather than later.
Yeah, 'cause at the same time that you want it to be quick, getting through, you don't want it to be too quick.
Right.
So you don't want to see, linger, and this, and this, and we're done.
Exactly.
So I direct you to Rebels. I direct you to the Clone Wars. The mold fits, and you can still keep it young.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, if you have anything to add to the conversation, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media, @thewarsandmore on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.